you all. We will start in just about 1 minute, and I hope you all don't mind us recording this. We're going to record it just to be able to share it with you all afterward.
Right.
And it's nice and early for you, isn't it?
It is. In California, we're right at 8 in the morning. So right after a nice walk with the dog, ready to get this thing started.
How's the weather?
Great. Hot as usual this time of year, but can't complain. It's been pretty great so far. How about on your end?
It is super rainy here, but that's Atlanta weather. We always get the residuals from like the hurricanes and all the other storms from Florida. So yeah, right now it's a little bit crazy, but just another day in paradise.
Sounds like common Atlanta summer weather.
Exactly. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Everyone else can kind of trickle in, but thank you everyone for joining us at the Getting Started with Jeeves 2.0 webinar with Anish and I. We are super excited to have you all. This has been a long time in the making. We're excited to show you the new products, kind of go over any of your questions, really just get you up to speed on the new version of Jeeves. As you all know, you've probably logged into your dashboard and you've seen new colors, new UI, new interface, new everything. And we wanted to just set this time up with you all to really get you set up for success and make sure that all your questions are answered. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide here. Maybe just some logistics for you all. You are more than welcome to ask any questions throughout this. There should be on your Zoom link, there should be an area at the bottom where you're able to submit your question. It's completely anonymous. So please, we ask you to submit as many questions as possible. We might not get to all of them depending on volume, but we will get to them in order. And then anything we're not able to get to, we will follow up in an email. So please submit your questions. We will answer them in real time if we are able to and we have the time to. Please also share your feedback. We're going to send a survey after this. So we ask for your feedback to see if we can improve anything. If there's anything that we might have missed, we can actually record that offline and then send it to you as well so that you're completely up to speed. So please submit that survey as well. And then we will be recording this webinar so we can share all this information with you all. Again, we're doing this to set you all up for success, get you up to speed with our new products. We know there's a lot of changes, and you probably don't have all the time in the day to go and learn it yourself. So hopefully this session will teach you a little bit more about our products, get you up to speed. And then afterwards, if you do have any questions or need any additional help, we have a support team, we have account management team, we have sales team who are here to help you as well. So we have all the resources to get you fully set up for success. Maybe a little bit of background on what we're going to talk about today. To the next slide. Meet our speakers. We'll give you an introduction. Anish and I will give you an introduction in just 1 second. We'll then go over what we built, give you just a quick broad overview of all the new products that are available. And then we will be going section by section, doing a deep dive into each product, kind of showing you the lay of the land, going over any questions you may have, showing you all the specifics there. And then if there are any additional questions that we are unable to answer throughout the session, we will end with a Q&A as well. Without further ado, a little bit of background on ourselves. I am James. I am the head of marketing here. I think we went one slide too many, but I'm the head of marketing here. I have been helping a lot with the launch of this new product in North America and Europe. Been really honored to be able to work alongside Anish and a lot of other people to get this out to you all. You probably will see me here and there, but for the most part, I am helping on the marketing side. So anytime you get an email from us or see anything inside your dashboard or any of our LinkedIn posts, that is me and my team. And I work, very closely with the product team and everything as well. And then we have Anish, our vice president of product. Anish would love to maybe hear a little bit more about your background, what you've been working on over the last few years, and maybe anything you're excited about.
Yeah, great. James, great introduction. I'll try my best to match that. My name is Anish Bhatt. I'm our vice president of product here at Jeeves. I've been with Jeeves for coming up on almost 2 years now. It's been quite a journey building products and leading the design team for all of the regions that we have our products in. So every aspect of that product, the credit side, some of the new things that you'll be seeing today, that's really something that our team humbly had the opportunity of bringing out to market and to you all. By virtue of just some background, prior to Jeeves, I spent time at a couple other places focusing on payments. So I worked at Apple, launching Apple Pay Cash, and launching the very first Apple Card. If those who've had the opportunity to use it, that's one that I think we were very proud of and bringing to market. Other opportunities have been around Square, have spent time, some of those earlier years before the company went public, building that product out and bringing it to market. So some really fun things. But again, where we are with Jeeves today, I think building an expense management product that makes it far easier for finance teams to continue saving time, saving money, but also giving the independence to all of their employees. I think there's a really big mission statement there. And we're looking forward to just helping a lot of the customers that are here on this call today to make sure that they're using it to the best of their abilities.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction, Anish. And sounds like you went from Square Cash to Apple Cash to Jeeves Cash. So Cash is following you all around.
So that on all my shirts.
Yeah. Exactly. Cash is following Anish around everywhere. So super excited to kind of dive into the next session, go over what we have built. Just for a little bit of background, what we'll be showing, we will be showing some pre-recorded demos. It'll just be a little bit easier for us to be able to show you this. And this will allow us to send this to you all after the call. So we will dive right in. And I think the next session is just what have we built?
Exactly. So I'll take over a bit from here. And James, if you have some questions or questions that are coming in live from those who have joined the call, feel free to stop me along the way. What we've built, what I'll do over the next couple slides, sort of what James mentioned here, is that we've got a couple recordings, and the intention is to give that back to you so that you can always click through and just see what that experience looks like. What I've done is I've made a lot of those recordings based on some of the experiences that I've had. What you'll see is I'll talk about the roles that we're showing off. So in this one, I'll talk about myself as an admin role and what the entire experience looks like. So without further ado, let me share this, and I will do a voiceover of it. So what you're looking at is the brand new version of Jeeves. So Jeeves showcases quite a lot that has changed, a completely new and revitalized screen. What you'll see here is you'll see components of Jeeves Cash. We'll go into that in detail. You'll see this big bright bar right at the top with actionable items. You'll see that component for Jeeves Credit listed right at the bottom there. Now here I am scrolling across all of Jeeves Cash. You see that I have the ability to hold funds in multiple currencies. So hopping in there, now you can see some of those currencies that I'm holding funds in. So you can see the USD, MXN, CAD. Again, this gives your ability to hold funds in all those currencies, even transfer funds between all those accounts. Each of those, we call them global accounts. So those are Jeeves Cash global accounts. And as you're seeing, again, I clicked into the USD account, you can see some of that transaction history. Now I clicked into the account details. You can see how you can top up and add funds to that USD account. So again, we give all of the details, and we also show exactly which payment methods you can use in order to top up those funds. So something like in US, you can use ACH, or you can use Wire or Swift to be able to send the funds in. So that's a very quick view. Obviously, there's a bunch of different action items and buttons that are available for an admin at this view, but wanted to give you the first brand new look into Jeeves.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing, Anish. I guess kind of along with this, with the new launch, would love to maybe hear a little bit more about, what you and the product team envisioned with this launch, what you kind of maybe envisioned for the future. Love to hear your thoughts there.
Yeah, James, great question. So what we've been focused on, we met with a number of customers over the last 6 to 8 months, held, over maybe 300 to 400 hours of interviews. And it was primarily with the finance team members. It was with CFOs, it was with controllers, it was with heads of finance. And what we learned is if their intention is to scale the travel and expense management side of their business, or essentially manage their expenses in a much more seamless way, and secondly, manage it potentially across multiple countries, we had to rethink the platform from top to bottom. And what this screen is attempting to do is it's focusing on that expense management component. So let me share it in a couple examples here. These were the phrases that were being used and the themes that came out. Many of our customers asked for the ability to, one, use their own funds for the ability to spend with a card or to do bank-to-bank transfers. So many of our customers said it's not just the credit side that was important, it's also we've got our own funds and we're actually just as prompted to be able to use that as well. So that was a big impetus for launching something like Jeeves Cash. And again, we'll go into that in more detail. The other side that you'll see is right along the top. And again, I'll kind of click into this video and I'll pause a bit along the way. So right at the top, you'll see there's a dashboard. There is Jeeves Cash. There's, sorry, this Zoom link just dropped right above it. So there's Jeeves Cash, there's Jeeves Pay, but the last one, there's Teams. And so one of the big points that customers mentioned to us is the ability to help their teams onboard onto Jeeves, get them cards as quickly as possible, but also manage the control around the cards. So again, approvals policies, the ability to set expenses, decide exactly how much to be able to spend, and then effectively turn off cards if someone is out of policy. So if one of their employees is spending in a way that they don't feel comfortable, the ability to control all of that. So again, this admin view is really a control center and a hub for managing all expenses. So all that money going out. The Jeeves Cash side, again, is a proponent for pulling money in. So now you have access to the cash that you already have in your bank account. So you can pull that into here. And so again, looking across my screen, I can pull in funds into USD. Now, if I have funds also sitting in MXN that I'd like to pull in, I can certainly do that. And if I would like to transfer funds between any of those accounts, I can do that as well. So I can manage any of those currency fluctuations. Again, we'll go into that in more detail.
Exciting. Well, thank you for sharing. I know that everyone's probably eager to kind of see each new product section by section. So I will.
Yeah, let's get right into it then. So let me hop out of this. So again, that was just the quick overview. Give me 1 second. Let me close this out. And we'll go into the very next screen. Okay, so let me talk about these global accounts for a second. So I gave a quick primer on it. So global accounts, what's the problem that we're trying to solve here? We want to give companies, especially many of these companies are global companies. Global could be as much as, look, we have business in both Canada and in the US, or we have business in the US and in Mexico. So many different opportunities to manage currencies or manage funds in multiple currencies. The problem set that we're going towards is many companies have employees, have vendors, suppliers, contractors that are in several of these countries. And so in order to avoid currency fluctuation and keeping funds always in one currency, we wanted to give you the opportunity to hold funds in the currencies that we have available today. Typically, what a company would have done or a head of finance would have done is they would have opened up one bank account at US Bank. They would have opened up another one with Bank of Montreal, and they would have opened up a third with Santander. But again, instead of going through that arduous process of going through onboarding and doc collection for every single one of those traditional banks, you go through a one-time onboarding and you have the ability to open up all of these accounts. And again, I'll click through it once more because I was giving a bit of a walkthrough on it. Is again, I can top up. I have account details for every single one of these accounts. So these are fully fledged accounts that any customer would get. And I have the ability to transfer funds between those. And as again, in this screen, as you're seeing, I'm transferring funds from CAD to USD, and I can see the latest rate that's being offered. So again, if I'm trying to manage fluctuations, against specific currency pairs, I can keep and hold funds in these currencies. And again, the intention of that is to be able to pay out to vendors or suppliers or contractors who may be in those currencies. Cool. So next up, I will hop
Actually, Nisha, I do have a question for you about this in terms of the, funding the account, and because this is a very new product for us. I guess two questions here are, how do you fund the account? How long does it take for the funds to arrive? And are there any limits to the amount you can fund?
Yes, good question. I'm actually going to hop back. Good couple questions. I'm going to hop back into one part that I showed very quickly on this screen. So I'm going to skip ahead. So how do you fund an account? First things first, I'm going to click into this USD one. I think it'll pop up in just a moment. So let me pause here. Right at the very top, you can see that it says current balance, $53.40. Right below that, there's a button that says account details. Now, to be able to add funds, you have the ability to top up, essentially sending funds from your current bank account. Now, for instance, my bank is Chase Bank. I would take the details that are available here. And there's multiple methods that I can use to top up funds into this USD account. So I would go to Chase Bank and I would use the account details that are shown at the very top. I would input that into Chase Bank, and then I would submit the amount of funds to be sent. Now, we also show how long the funds should take depending on the method that you use. So again, if you use Swift, it could take up to 3 days. If you use domestic ACH, it could take up to 2 days. On many instances, we see that these funds will settle and be available same day. It's only if there is some kind of compliance review that it would hold up any bit longer. But on average, we've seen all of these funds settle within the same day. These account details, by the way, are available for every single one of the global accounts. So again, I'm just showing you the USD account where these are the USD account details. Now, if you went to CAD, you would see a whole new set of account details for the CAD currency. And that way, and again, it wouldn't be ACH, it would be something like Interac e-transfer, for instance.
Perfect. Thank you for answering that. So just to summarize, payments can arrive as soon as same day. Most it would take is 2 business days, depending on the kind of payment method. And there are no limitations into the amount that you can actually fund in your account. So you can send 1 cent or $1 million, and we should be able to accept all of that. We actually do have 2 live questions if we want to get into those, both around the kind of multi-currency theme. So yeah. First one here is, can I receive funds in any of the 4 currencies? And then related to that, are there any additional currencies that will be enabled in the future?
Good question for both. So the first one's, could you receive funds? And I assume that question might be, could my customer or someone else send me funds? Yes, if you provide those account details that I just shared on the screen, anyone else could potentially send you funds in as well. So you could receive funds against any one of those currencies. The second question, sorry, James, what was the second question? I was focused on the first.
The second question, kind of related, is are there any additional currencies that will be enabled in the future, like BRL?
Yes, great question. Yes, this is our very first set of currencies that we're making available, but we've got a whole slew of other currencies that we want to look into. If I can ask for those who are on the call, when you do go through that feedback and that survey, it would be great if you could add some of the other currencies that you would like to see represented here. I think I'd like to prioritize the ones that are most important to the group here. And so again, we certainly have a short list of other currencies that we're adding next. But if some of the customers here who've attended the session would like to voice an opinion on what currencies are important to them to also bring up, we'd certainly love to look at them.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anish.
All right, let's hop into the very next one. So the next one is about teams, departments, and locations. So for those on the call, the point of this, the point of teams, departments, and locations, it's really about all of the other employees that you're bringing on this onto Jeeves. Now, these could be full-time employees, they could be contractors, they could be members of an ad agency, they could be bookkeepers. The intention for that is for you to be very clear of where that spend and where that control is happening. So let me hop into this. So it's a brand new view for team management. What you're seeing as I scroll, if you look at that left side, you're seeing that each of the members are broken up inside of their departments. Now I just flipped over to the next tab, and you can set up as many departments as you'd like. So again, you can see a few that are set up here and the members that are within it. And then finally, you can even split folks up by location. Now, again, you can use any text or copy that you would like for the location. And again, now we're going into showing how to add a new user. So again, one, selecting your role, and then providing some of the information like an email so that they can get the invitation email, selecting what department that they would like to be a part of, as well as the location. And again, you can choose any location that they'd like to be a part of. By the way, you can write these locations. These are just handwritten by me. And then finally, you can decide who's the approver of their expenses. Again, this is our first and really big foray into making sure that there's more controls in place for all the spend that's going to happen. So it's a completely different view. I'm going to call out a couple more things. So I'm going to play this video one more time. Now on that right side, I was talking about the left side first. Now on the right side, you'd see bulk changes that I simply just scrolled, and I'm going to pause right here for a second. So right on that right side, you can see bulk changes. What bulk changes means is that you can change multiple users at once. Now, if I want to change an entire department, let's just say we are merging two departments together and one department is going away. So I can change all the users of the department that's going away and add that new name for that department. So again, I can change multiple users at once. This is really handy for those who have 10 or more employees and don't want to go through that cumbersome process of changing every single person whenever there's broad organizational changes at a company. And then also, again, this is all from an admin point of view. You can also see all the pending invites. So for those who have been invited, who have yet to accept that invitation, you can certainly see it here and make sure that you prompt them to get that invite. And then finally, there's a button on Create Card, and we'll talk about that in just a moment.
Excellent. Exciting to see this, these new features, especially departments and locations. I think that'll make it easier to track cost centers. We actually have a couple questions. Some of them we'll reserve for the card section, just because I think they'll be a little bit better there. But one question that came through was, what does it mean to approve expenses? I think we might have seen that on the screen when you're inviting a new admin or someone along those lines, but it might be good to clarify what's coming down for that feature.
Yeah, so we're building the foundations of Jeeves to become a robust expense management platform. So as you're setting up the approvers, some of the next features, so just sharing a little bit of what's behind the curtain, some of the next features that we're building is your ability to create card and the ability to approve any transactions that are done by those who report into you. So again, if you have an approver, that approver would be notified if you were out of policy. So I'll give you a very explicit example. If, for instance, James set a policy that said for every transaction that is over 10 US, you have to add a receipt. So if, for instance, I did a transaction over $10, I would get the notification that says, hey, Anish, you need to add a receipt. Now, given that James is also an approver, he would be notified as well. Now, as soon as I do put a receipt in there, I have satisfied the policy, but James still has the opportunity to review and approve. Now, if it isn't approved, he can deny that approval, and he can also decide what to do next. Now, that could be a conversation with the folks on the finance team to say, hey, we actually need to pull those funds from payroll, or Anish needs to send that in because I actually denied that transaction. I still felt that it was out of policy, and here's the reason. So again, we're building some of those foundations for those who have more than 10 team members and don't have the ability to always watch all the transactions that are coming in live stream from all of those employees. There is going to be an entire policy product that will help to manage how transactions are being done across employees from all departments.
Great. Yeah. Thank you for answering. So kind of summarizing that, the approval feature should hopefully be available in the next few months. And really right now, I believe you can set up an approver in the system. And then once this feature is available, you'll be able to set up policies to collect receipts and memos. And then the approver will be able to review those expenses that might not have the receipt or memo, and then automatically follow up with the employee. And worst comes to worst, pull that money from the paycheck if the company needs to be reimbursed for that expense. Cool. And we have a couple other questions, but they are more related to card features. So we will hold off on those just for a few minutes.
Okay, sounds good. So let me hop ahead. And let's talk a little bit about Jeeves Pay, and then we will get into cards in just a moment. So payment vendors, right before I click into the video, the next section we're focusing on is Jeeves Pay, which is where you can do bank-to-bank transfers. The opportunity for this is for you to pay vendors and suppliers and contractors all over the world who don't accept credit card as a payment method for goods and services. So again, if you're paying for buying supplies potentially out of Mexico, or you're paying an ad agency, it's possible that they don't accept a credit card because they possibly don't want to pay for those credit card fees. And again, they'll ask you to do a bank transfer. Now that product exists, and you can use those funds that you've uploaded directly from Jeeves Cash. So I'll give you a quick view. The first thing you'll see here as I'm scrolling down is all the transactions that have been made using Jeeves Pay. So you can see that entire history. Across the top, you can see scheduled and draft and canceled. But most importantly, you can set up your vendors. So here you can set up all the vendors that are based all over the world. And I'll give you a quick view into what that looks like. So again, here you can select what the bank country of that vendor is. Now I can say, look, I'm trying to pay James. James is my ad agency. I know he's in the US and he wants to get paid with US dollar. So this is the currency that James would receive. Now, in that very final screen, and let me hop over there for just a second, I'll pause. I can also choose what payment method James is going to get paid by. In almost all instances around the world, we use local payment methods for the fastest ability to settle. Most of these settlements happen either same day or next business day. So again, in this instance, if I'm paying this vendor, let's just say again, James the ad agency, he'd get paid in US dollar, he'd get paid using ACH. And I'd put all of this detail in there so that James can get paid. So effectively, I'm setting up James as a vendor. Now, if you don't mind, James, I'm going to do one more video because this next one will play into what we use those vendors for. Now, if you saw right on that side, there's a button called Send Money. So I've already loaded up funds into Jeeves Cash. I've already added my vendor that I can now pay consistently. I'm going to click into Send Money. I'm going to click into one of the vendors I have. So here I'm going to click into Claudio, who wants to get paid in Canadian dollars. I'm going to use, and I realize my video is a bit fast here. So I'm going to send him 10 Canadian dollars. Now I can choose any payment source to send it out of. Of course, if I use the CAD account, I wouldn't get charged the FX fluctuation, or I won't be beholden to the FX fluctuation. In this case, I'll show you what it looks like if I wanted to use something like USD. So I'll click USD. I can choose when to send that payment. So I'm going to send it in the future. Right here, you can start to see what the conversions would look like. So again, I've chosen the USD account as my payment source, and I'm paying Claudio in Canadian dollars. So you'll see that FX rate show up. I can put details into it. Again, on this left-hand panel, it's a fairly big blank screen. This is where I can upload the invoice. So if Claudio in this instance had sent me an invoice, I can upload it here so that's saved. Again, this is going to play into the expense management features that we're building soon. If you have an approver, that approver would see that invoice and have the ability to approve it as well. So again, in this case, I won't be adding an invoice, but I can certainly do that to make sure that, again, these expenses are being audited by that approver. And then finally, we'll get to the verification. So again, I can use email or Google Authenticator as my security of choice. I added in that information, and then I can finally schedule the payment. So I scheduled it there. I can hop over to that next tab, and I can see that we have an outgoing 10 Canadian dollars being sent to Claudio.
Very cool to see this live. Thank you for sharing, Anish. And there is a question that's related to kind of currencies, and it is about cards, but I think we can tie it into payments as well. So essentially, what currencies are available to send and actually, spend on. So to answer this, there are 4 currencies that we support on the wallet itself: CAD, Euros, GBP, and USD. All of our customers in any of these regions have access to all 4 of those wallets, and you can receive and store funds in those currencies. For Jeeves Pay, there are actually even more currencies that are supported when you're actually sending out payments. So for instance, CNY, you can actually send out. You can't store the funds in a wallet, but you can actually send out in that form of currency. I believe there's 40 plus currencies supported, and you can send payments to 150 plus countries. So wide range of currencies beyond the actual, Jeeves cash currencies are supported. In terms of the actual question related to the card itself, you can only spend for one account. The card is tied to one currency. So if your main currency on your account is USD, on your cards, you'll be able to spend on USD. If you need to spend on CAD or another currency, you can actually open up another Jeeves account, and you're able to open up that currency. But just note for the card itself, to answer your question, on the card itself, you can spend on one currency for one account. Anything you want to add to that?
No, James, that was perfect. Yep. And so again, Jeeves Cash, I'll just kind of reemphasize that last point. So Jeeves Cash, you can use all of your account sources. For the Jeeves card, you're tied to your primary currency. So again, if you are a US-based company, you will get USD as your primary currency, and the funds for your card transactions will come out of that USD account.
Awesome. I think that's all the questions related to payments for now, at least.
Great. So let's get into cards. I'm sure many folks here are curious about the world of cards. So card creation. I'm going to pop up this screen, but I'm going to take a couple pauses because I do want to share some really, really important stuff. So again, I'm an administrator here. So what you're seeing is my ability to create cards for anyone. Now, if you're an employee, we'd set employee roles as well. And in the Teams tab, you can decide who gets access to create their own cards. Now, even if you give them access to create their own cards, you can still set exactly what threshold or amount of money that they'd be able to spend on those cards. And you can also decide what funding source those cards are tied to. So again, they're tied to that Jeeves Cash account. So let me go through the first video of how the card creation is done for an administrator. So again, I have the ability to create card in that right-hand panel. I can decide if that card is virtual or physical, or I can create some templates as well. I can decide who to assign it to. So again, in this instance, I'm assigning this card to myself, but I as an admin could assign this card to virtually anyone who is part of this Jeeves account. I like to give my card a purpose, so I'm going to make sure that this is a coffee card, and I only use that for those coffee transactions. Again, we had a security layer to make sure that, one, it's actually myself who is creating this card. And then finally, that card is available. So again, if you just hop down right in that quick actions tab right there, you can see the coffee card that I just made. Now, again, I can create cards for others. And if I'm doing that, there's this button on the other side to claim that card. So for an employee who I'm creating the card for, the employee logs in and there's this big button right on that right side that says claim card, and they have the ability to claim that card. So this is our view, again, taking that foray into expense management, really giving tight controls to that finance team so that, one, only the folks that should be creating cards and should be setting the limits for the cards are the ones that are doing it. So this is the intention that, one, we want you to create as many cards as you'd like, especially on the virtual side. We want you to create tens of cards if you want to give all of your cards purposes, but we do want to control exactly who has the ability to create those cards. So again, admins really have that control. Others could get that permission, which you can change. You can edit and change their permissions in the Teams tab for that specific employee.
And I think you actually answered one of the questions, which was with Jeeves 1.0, my employees could create their own cards. Is there a way to do this in Jeeves 2.0? The answer is yes. By default, only admins in Jeeves 2.0 will be able to create cards for their employees, but you are able to actually change the setting so your employees can create cards themselves. I think it's worth mentioning that in old Jeeves, you're able to set a user limit, but moving forward, just to secure your account a little bit more, each card needs a limit. So if you do allow your employees to create cards, you want to make sure that you issue a card limit for each of those cards as well.
Yeah. And I'll say it one more time to be a bit clear, and I'll actually pop back. It's a great question. I want to make sure that it's not confusing, since the new screens are just, they're a big stretch away from what it originally used to look like. So I'm going to pause here for a second. Now let's just take someone like the second member, Bhavan Gupta, an expense manager. What I would do is I'd click on Bhavan's name. At the very top, there's an edit icon. I can click that edit icon in Bhavan's name, and there's a section called permissions. Now in permissions, you can create a physical card or you can create a virtual card. Those are toggles. Those are rights that you can give to that employee. So again, trying to give as much control to the finance team as possible. If they want folks to be able to create cards on their own, they can certainly do that. If they want to manage all of those controls themselves, they can do that as well. And again, this is not limited to just the expense management role. You could certainly give those permissions at the employee role as well. All right, and then I've got just one final video to share with the group. And it is on card transactions. So what does card transactions look like? Now, I'm going to switch roles for just a second. This is what role you're seeing now is the employee role. If you noticed, a lot of things have disappeared. I don't have the tabs at the top. I can't see all the Jeeves cash accounts. I can't see how much we have in funds available. But what I can see is my available balance based on the cards that are created for me. So with all these cards, this is the sort of the amount of money that I could spend. Now, what you'll see is, as an employee, I can only see the transactions that I've done. So here you can see an airport transaction, you can see Jersey Mike subs, Uber, and I've clicked into one of them. Here you can see that you can add a screenshot of the receipt. You can also add exactly what the memo was. So this was a dinner before a flight that I had taken. So I can add that in to make sure that I satisfy the transaction that needed a receipt. Now up top at that banner, you can see how many transactions I've had in the past, how many need receipts. So again, calling my attention to things that I need to take care of. Now I'll give you one more view. It's the exact same use case, but it's our mobile version. So I'll pop this open for a second. Now our mobile app completely redesigned as well. So again, this is the cardholder experience. You can see the transactions that I have here. Again, you can see Jersey Mike subs. And if I scroll down, I just made the update dinner before flight. And now you can see that in the memo here. So again, I encourage those, especially those who have many employees, use the apps. The apps are very easy to navigate. They're very easy to use. Again, I'm able to just take a look at what transaction I have yet to add a receipt for. So I clicked into the filter. I looked at which ones don't have a receipt, so I know which ones to action on, and I pulled up another transaction that I need to take care of. So again, we're trying to make it as easy as possible for the employees that are on the go to add in receipts and memos, but again, giving as much control to the finance team so that they can focus on the task at hand, which is managing the budgets and continuing to own the forecast versus trying to police all those employees.
Really great. And there actually were some comments and some feedback for the mobile app. So anyone that has any suggestions on what they would like to see, we would love an email from you. So if you want to send an email to James at TryJeeves and Anish at tryjeeves.com, we would love to kind of hear your feedback there. We are, of course, constantly reiterating our mobile app, and I believe there is a new version available. So we highly recommend that you download that if you haven't already. And then, yes, please share your feedback. There was also one last question that was asked. I believe it's related to confirmation emails when you invite a new employee, but essentially, is there a way to resend that confirmation to employees that were invited but haven't completed their profile? I'm actually unsure on this one.
Yes. So let me go back to a certain screen. Good question. Very good question. Because we actually have a couple right here in the screen that you'll see that they haven't accepted their invite just yet. So let me hop back here for a moment. Oh, not payment vendors. Here we go. All right. Let me pause here for a second. So if you see on the right-hand panel, we have pending invites. Now, if you hovered over one of those, you'll see an ellipses. You'll see those 3 dots pop up right next to them. Now, if you click on that, there's 2 options that you'll have. You'll have one to resend the invite. So again, they'll get another confirmation email and the ability to sign up. Or the other one is to delete the invitation altogether. So again, with all those pending invites that are coming in, if those who have not yet actioned and you have a really large team and it's hard to chase everyone down, you can press that button and you can resend the invite.
Easy enough. And actually, we had one other question come through, I think related to the mobile app. Is the ability to change card limits available through the mobile app, or must you do it through the desktop?
It's through the desktop today because it's primarily an administrator tool. Mobile right now was built in mind for employees first. So we were more focused on the use cases that were most important to them, which was, I'd like to see my transactions, and I'd like to be able to action on them, which is add a receipt and a memo. If you can, please give us that feedback in that feedback survey and share some of the rationale. So what is some of that expectation? Is it that employees are on the go and there's a possibility that they could possibly need more funds available? So again, we're happy to take in that feedback. Mobile is just, that revamp is just a start on all the incredible things that we want to build next. But of course, given that you all attended the session, I'd love to hear that feedback so that we can consider it on the shorter list.
Excellent. That was all the questions from the crowd. Oh, I think we actually had one more come through. This is great. We love all the questions. Let's see here. Okay, so it's related to application statuses and wait times. This is a great question from Roberto. Roberto, I'm going to give you my contact email, and I would love for you to reach out to me directly so we can help you with that and push that through for you. So if anyone here has applied for a new Jeeves 2.0 account and hasn't received a response and is waiting to kind of set everything up, please contact us. We're able to kind of expedite your account there, and I'll share my email address with you also. You all can email me directly. Cool. Well, that was it. We're pretty much right on time, I believe. I believe this was until the 45-minute mark. I hope that you all enjoyed this. Maybe just some customer to show you all some other customers that are using us today. New Bank, Burger King, WeWork. We have a lot of good names. And of course, all of you that have attended are also our great customers, and we greatly appreciate all of you. If you have any questions, if you have any feedback, please provide it on the survey. And if you have any questions related to your account, the application, or anything else, we'll give you our individual emails. We'll make sure to send you a follow-up email as well. And you should all have access to sales and account management and CS as well if you need any help. But we'll be sure to share our individual emails just in case.
Perfect. Great, James, this is fantastic. Glad we did it.
Thank you all for attending. We'll share all the recordings. Please fill out that survey, and hopefully all of you have a great rest of your week.
All right.
All
Cheers.
right. Thank you all. Bye-bye.